can!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here today.
Hi, welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. On the show today, a cricket team owner and the captain caught in an uncomfortable and embarrassing exchange. The Lucknow franchise owner at the Indian Premier League is caught seemingly giving his team captain a dressing down. Was he right in doing so, or has he crossed a line? Also, from cheering for Real Madrid as a fan in the stands in 2022 to now becoming their unlikely hero 2 years down the line, we bring you the story of a journeyman in football as Real Madrid set up a clash with underdogs Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League final. And there's more football. Brazil's floods have created a lot of destruction, and there's been one more casualty, and that's been football and its infrastructure. Is the drought in Brazilian football glory is because of a rotting system? It's a special on Firstpost, but first a look at the headlines in Sports 360. We'll start with NBA. Denver Nuggets star Nikola Jokic won the NBA's Most Valuable Player award. This is Jokic's third MVP award in 4 seasons. Jokic received 79 votes from a panel of broadcasters and journalists. He beat Oklahoma City Thunder's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks for this honor. Over in golf, Rory McIlroy won't be returning to the PGA Tour board. This because plans to replace Webb Simpson was met with resistance from other board members. McIlroy confirmed the news and said his potential return became complicated and messy. Over in baseball, baseball star Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, agrees to plead guilty of a nearly $17 million bank fraud. Mizuhara has accepted the allegations of using Ohtani's money to pay off his gambling debts. Over in football, former Spanish Football Federation head Luis Rubiales will face trial for sexual assault following his unsolicited kissing of player Jenny Hermoso. The kiss, deemed unwanted by Hermoso, occurred during last year's World Cup final against England. Rubiales, who was forced to resign amid the controversy, continues to deny any wrongdoing. And Kansas City Chiefs Rashee Rice is in trouble again. Rice is reportedly under investigation for allegedly assaulting a photographer at a nightclub in Dallas on the 7th of May. This comes more than a month after Rice was tied to 8 charges when he was involved in a multi-vehicle crash, leaving at least 7 people injured on the 30th of March. A loss in sport is inevitable. It is part of the game. It comes with the trappings of being a sports person, and the pressure of a loss multiplies. It is equivalent to how higher up you are, from the team captain to the coach and the management. But how does one take defeat? Do you reflect, or do you start pointing fingers? Because that truly defines the success of a team, not how they take a win, but how they take a loss and come out of it. A video right after the Indian Premier League match last night between Lucknow and Hyderabad is creating a lot of buzz. Take a look at these pictures. It has the owner of the Lucknow franchise, Sanjeev Goenka, in conversation with his team captain, Indian cricketer KL Rahul. Just notice the dynamics here, the posture, the body language, because we can't really hear what went down. Sources say it was far from pretty. Let's just talk about the pictures first. Let's look at the owner, the more expressive one of the two in these images behind me. He's frowning, visibly agitated, pointing fingers, looking extremely bothered. We know the reason, that's too obvious, but look at how he's gesticulating and gesturing. And you can tell it isn't a vent, something both parties would engage in after a loss. It isn't a collective ire towards something. It isn't like he's talking about something, but he's talking down to KL Rahul. Because if you see KL Rahul here, he doesn't want to be there, anywhere but there in that moment with the owner. KL Rahul is the captain of a cricket team. He looks dejected, shattered, lost. And understandably so. It was a completely ruthless win. Hyderabad beat Lucknow is an understatement. They did that in no time. They did not lose a single wicket. The openers made mincemeat of the target of 165, reaching that in half the number of overs, in just the 10th over. So yes, it's not a happy day at all in the office for the losing captain. KL Rahul is already down, deflated, but here's the thing. It was a very humbling loss, but one that you sometimes can do nothing about. There is little else many teams have been able to do when up against Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma going all guns blazing. It was one of those days, and KL Rahul's post-match interview really summed up what he was feeling, but not really able to express.
I'm lost for words. We've watched that kind of batting on TV, but this is unreal batting. Everything seems to find the middle of the bat. Kudos to their skills. They've worked hard on their six-hitting skills. Once you're on the losing side, there are question marks on the decisions taken. We were 40 to 50 runs short, but even if we would have got 240, they could have chased it that as well.
But then the showdown happened and KL Rahul looks like he has no energy left to say anything, even as the team owner is at it. And let's face it, it has been a difficult few weeks for KL Rahul, losing a place in India's T20 World Cup squad to Sanju Samson, and then of course this humiliating exchange with the owner. That is what it looks like, out in the middle for the world to see. Probably not setting the right example. Fans went livid, lambasting the owners for the unsportsmanlike display on a cricket pitch. Fans were not kind and probably justified in being that way. So that makes us ask, how far can an owner here go to being that intrusive in such a team setup? Sure, there is money invested. There is a lot riding on the team and the franchise, and every management wants their team to win. But where is the line that an owner, someone who has not played cricket, cannot cross? And definitely not to give it off to a captain for a defeat right on the field for everyone to see. There are many things wrong with the scenario I just painted, but sometimes I wonder, would this scene have played out had the captain been a non-Indian, a foreign player? We know Hyderabad, for example, had a fallout with David Warner, though they won a title with him at the helm. But has dirty linen ever been washed in public there? No. There are different kinds of franchises in the IPL, some owners who do not intrude at all. Only one man calls the shots when it comes to the cricket, and that is who will take all the calls in wins and in losses. It is simple, straightforward, and nothing else comes in between him. I'm speaking of MS Dhoni, of course, with the Chennai franchise and the team. Even this legend managed to face the brunt of the owner under the radar here, Sanjeev Goenka. MS Dhoni was captain of the Pune franchise for a couple of years, and that was owned by Sanjeev Goenka back then. And he managed to sack MS Dhoni from the captaincy. IPL has seen some of the most acrid flare-ups between management, the owners that is, and the captain. I can't go without talking about the most famous run-ins. It was between Kolkata owner Shah Rukh Khan and the then captain Sourav Ganguly. And much has been documented about how that heated row played out, so I won't go into the details. But the reason I bring that up here is because things changed post that. Kolkata brought in a CEO to deal with the team, and Shah Rukh Khan stopped attending practice and net sessions altogether. There was a wall, and he was humble enough to accept and stay on the other side of it. That wall separated cricket with the ownership. And that's what I'm getting at. Yes, it's great to feel passionate about the team that you're invested in. Be invested in the wins and just as livid in the losses. But maybe it's best for those who know the sport to deal with that in their own way, whether it is the captains or the coaches. For everything else, the owners are always there. Cricket happens on the field, and only that should happen. It's a space where sport is played, and everyone should treat that area with a sense of sanctity. After 123 matches, we're down to the final. Real Madrid sealed a dramatic victory against Bayern Munich to book the final spot. So Real Madrid will take on Borussia Dortmund on the 1st of June, and it promises to be an epic clash. What can we look forward to that in the summit encounter? While Madrid are chasing their 15th Champions League title, Dortmund are aiming for their second. We have the biggest contenders in Real Madrid and the biggest challengers in Borussia Dortmund. Both clubs are chasing different kinds of glory. Real Madrid's semi-final against Bayern Munich showed why they are called kings of the Champions League up until the 88th minute. The match was far away from Madrid's grasp, but as the famous line goes, it's not over until Real Madrid says it is. The miracle did not come from the marquee players, Jude Bellingham or Vinicius Jr. In the middle of all the star power and glitz, a new hero emerged, Joselu. That's who this story is about. The Spaniard scored 2 goals in the last 4 minutes of the game to send Real Madrid into the final. But it is not the match or his goals that make this a riveting story. Almost 2 years ago in 2022, Joselu was supporting Real Madrid in the Champions League final against Liverpool, sitting in the stands. A fan. The 34-year-old has been a die-hard, loyal fan of Real Madrid since the beginning of his career. The Spaniard was part of the Real Madrid Academy 15 years ago, as irony would have it, and last year he was signed on loan from Club Espanyol. In one night, he shot into limelight, from the stands to glory. His fairy tale rise has captured the hearts of all Madrid fans. Joselu, he hasn't been a recognized face in Spanish football. This is the same Joselu who tweeted in 2012 on the platform now called X, and it's on your screen, asking everyone where he could catch the streaming of the Real Madrid match live. From wanting to watch a match on his laptop to being the hero in a semi-final, in a do-or-die knockout for the team he has been a fan of. The journey has been nothing short of overwhelming. At 34, he's played across the country. He has been a bit of a journeyman of the sport. He's traveled a lot, played a lot of football from Celta Vigo in Spain to nondescript clubs like Hoffenheim, Eintracht Frankfurt, Hannover 96 in Germany for over 6 years, from 2009 to 2015. So yes, he's been around. But glory was never at his doorstep. He was another football lover, and as far as Real Madrid goes, he was just a fan, cheering for them on the sidelines. He then travelled again, crossing over to England. He finally made the move in Premier League with Stoke City in 2015 and then Newcastle United in 2019 before coming back to Espanyol. The problem was that he was invisible to most others in every club he went to, and also ran. He endured the hardships of fighting relegations and took joy in the small victories, celebrating mid-table results up until this moment.
Games are decided with the heart, and I do not lack that. I worked hard for many years, lots of manual labor, been to many places, known many people. But destiny had something saved for me. Tonight was something incredible. But this is Real Madrid. Now we are thinking about the final.
Absolutely touching words by a man who has been through the grind and just shows what last night's triumph meant to him. Clearly, Madrid are the perennial powerhouse with a rich history of European dominance. Los Blancos are no strangers to the big stage. Under the guidance of Carlos Ancelotti, they once again proved that they're one of the most feared teams in world football.
It's happened again. Because it's happened so many times. Now it's something inexplicable. It's happened again. Fans that push, a stadium that helps, a fantastic atmosphere, and players who never stop believing that they can do it. It's something magical. There's no explanation for it.
Now, Madrid may have sealed the semi-final in a dramatic fashion, and so was their celebration after the game, especially that of Rudiger. Absolutely stunning visuals that. But awaiting Real Madrid in the final is Borussia Dortmund, who've been nothing short of sensational this year. They've bulldozed their way through the competition, leaving a trail of defeated giants in their wake, PSG being their latest victims. So what's been special about their journey to the top? It has been the lethal trio of Jadon Sancho, Marco Reus and Mats Hummels, the mix of experience and young blood that have been instrumental in their success. Dortmund's high-octane and swift counterattacks have been trademark all season, and given their performance, they look to exploit any gaps in Real Madrid's defense and punish them. Real Madrid, though, has experience and tactical genius, and that cannot be underestimated. Let's take a look at how the two stack up. When it comes to facing each other, Madrid have outclassed their opponents and scored 24 goals compared to Dortmund's 19. So clearly, Madrid holds the edge. Carlo Ancelotti's men will be well drilled and organized. looking to control possession and dictating the tempo of the game. In the midfield, the battle between Bellingham, a former Dortmund hand, and Dortmund's Marcel Sabitzer will be key. Both players possess the energy and tenacity to dominate. The stage is set and anticipation reaches fever pitch. We are up for a classic showdown between the two sides. It's a while away, yes. We just wanted to give you a ringside view in advance. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Brazil? For the nature lover, the Amazon rainforest probably. Maybe Christ the Redeemer for the most spiritual. For any sports enthusiast, it's football, a country that can qualify as the synonym for the sport. But today when I say Brazil, you will talk about the unprecedented floods and destruction. The recent floods in Rio Grande do Sul and part of southern Brazil have not only wreaked havoc on local communities, but has also cast a shadow when it comes to the country's footballing infrastructure, how the grassroots of the sport has crumbled under nature's fury. Brazil's footballing landscape has faced its fair share of challenges in the recent years. The fury of the floods has now exposed the fragility of the country's domestic football infrastructure. Top-tier matches have been postponed, stadiums have been damaged. I'll explain. Internacional and Grêmio, along with Juventude, the three clubs that play in Brazil's Serie A, saw their stadiums crumbling due to flooding. Matches have been put off till the end of the month. There were 3 league matches that should have happened that stands postponed. Even the third round Copa do Brasil game between Internacional and Juventude has also been cancelled. And to make matters worse, Internacional's training facility has been flooded with water, resulting in no training for a while to come. The sport has come to a standstill. The domestic structure has been raised, which makes me ask, is a country's weak domestic structure that has been humbled by the floods responsible for the trophy drought that Brazil finds itself in? That the system was always weak. Football geniuses found a way to survive and fight. They had the passion. The street gave birth to superstars. But are those streets so wobbly? The system in place itself flawed, that has been exposed now by the hand of God, the rains. Up until mid-2000s, Brazil was a giant force in football. The country has produced talents like Pelé, Garrincha, Ronaldo, Zico, Falco, Romario, Ronaldinho, Kaká. The list doesn't end. From every decade, you can pick world-class players who've defined and redefined the sport. But has the country lost its way post-2007, the year they last won a Ballon d'Or? We spoke of the latest mismanagement row plaguing the association when the country failed to qualify for the Paris Olympics earlier this year. And with FIFA admonishing them and constantly supervising their functions, we thought, okay, there is some hope. Because the governing body thinks so, the fans pray so, so there's hope indeed for Brazilian football. But the country is currently struggling to even find a spot at the World Cup. The World Cup that Brazil at one time stamped its class over. Now, if they fail to do so, it would mean the end of an era, a huge churn in the fabric of the sport. Imagine having no Brazil at the World Cup. A football World Cup without the samba magic is no World Cup at all. They are 5-time world champions after all, the most by any country in the history of the sport. But here's the thing, their last World Cup triumph came way back in 2002. Apart from Confederations Cup in 2013, the Copa America in 2019, the cabinet is bare, indicating a very, very harsh reality. So have they stopped producing brilliance? Actually, no. There are a few superstars and some bright sparks. World-class talents like Neymar, Vinicius Jr. and Gabriel Jesus, to name a few. So why no silverware? The sense we get is that Brazil has been unable to translate individual brilliance into collective success on the international stage over the last few years now. The failure to win major tournaments in the recent years has left Brazil more perplexed. We spoke about their domestic system, or the lack of it, being responsible for the downfall of Brazilian football. And it seems from various factors. One is the loss of street football, which has been long the breeding ground for talent in this country. Street football was once their heartbeat, where young talents honed their skills and creativity in unforgiving and daunting playgrounds. No greens, but the rough streets. That's how you saw the rise of Pelé, Zico and Romario. We've heard all about it. The country focused on natural talent rather than a system, a mechanical system. If I drew a comparison in India, it's like street cricket, the gully cricket like we call it. The street where people play and dreams come true, or dreams are born. To small patchy grounds called Maidans in the city of Mumbai, which produced raw talent for the world, like Yashasvi Jaiswal. But getting back to Brazil, there's now a growing concern that the system of producing footballing prodigies is drying up.
Our technique has suffered, the playing style changed, and that ended up taking away some of our creativity. Our football used to be so joyful, now it's become more mechanical.
Jogo Bonito, that was the name given to Brazil's playing style, that translates to joyful. That was how people played the sport, their style of play. But recently, it seems to be diminishing. Another factor behind Brazil's worries is the lack of investment in grassroots football. While countries like Germany and Spain have revolutionized their system, they focused on technical proficiency, tactical understanding. Now, from a young age, in contrast though, Brazil finds itself far behind the rest. The country's reliance on natural talent alone is no longer sufficient in this very competitive, changing football landscape.
Vejo necessidade nenhuma de você pegar uma equipe que
The champions are always a reference, and Spain is outlining how soccer should be played around the world. They dictate the rules today, like Brazil once did, as well as Argentina in certain periods. I think the worst mistake we could make is to believe we are favourites before playing. This is the closest you will get to not winning.
Now, this is more than a decade ago, and yet how prophetic. Mano Menezes telling us more than a decade ago in 2012 that Brazil was sitting on a ticking time bomb. There was a time when international stars like Pelé didn't leave his boyhood club Santos. The legend spent almost his entire career there, attached to the roots. But now you see Neymar, Jesus, Richarlison, Vinicius all playing in Europe or the Saudi, via the Spanish League, Premier League or the Saudi League. So Brazil's star players are flourishing individually, yes, but the sum total is nearly nothing. So all these factors have contributed to hitting the domestic structure and that setup, which of course has led to a lack of revenue, with dwindling attendance figures and declining TV viewership. The Brazilian football market is facing unprecedented challenges. Gone are the days when the clubs boasted of packed stadiums and lucrative broadcasting deals. The lack of star power and marquee matchups has led to that decline in interest from sponsors too, further leading to financial woes. But despite the struggles, the passion for the game runs deep. I'll close with this incident. About 5 months ago, one of the most successful clubs, Santos, Pelé Santos, got relegated to second tier. Fans let out their rage and frustration, causing a riot in the city of Santos. Of course, rioting is never the answer, but the reason why we speak about this is that fans were driven by the emotion associated with football. They still do. A din of that riot, ironically telling us how silent the samba has fallen. Time for last serve. Now, many top players are not present at tennis's Italian Open this year, out with injuries, but fans are still starry-eyed because Rafael Nadal was thronged by tennis lovers as he gears up for the tournament. Nice to see the Spaniard and his fans sort of braving the rains for that meet and greet. But that does it here on First Sports. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care.